When the Legends Die, Chapter 3. That was 2 years ago. Some of them wanted to quit after they had been there 2 months and go back to the reservation, but they owed money to the company store, and they had no money to pay it. Sometimes when payday came, they had only $2 or $3 instead of $2 a day, so they could not quit because they had signed the paper. One day Blue Elk came to the house and told Bessie that she and George must get married. Bessie said, "George is my man. That is enough. That is married," and it always was. Blue Elk said, "There is the boy. You must be married for the boy, and he must be baptized." "What is this baptize?" Bessie asked. "The preacher sprinkles him with holy water and gives him a name." "I wash him with water when he is dirty," Bessie said. "I have given him his name. Can the preacher do this more than this?" "It must be done," Blue Elk said. "It will cost $5. "I do not have $5, Bessie told him. "They take my man's money and do not pay it to him." "I will see that he gets $5 this week," Blue Elk said, and he did. George got the $5 from the man at the pay desk and gave it to Blue Elk, and he took them to the preacher. The preacher said words and wrote on a paper and said they were married. Then he asked what they wanted to name the boy. Bessie said, "He is Little Black Bull. He will choose when he needs another name." The preacher said he must have another name now, and he said Thomas was a good name. They could call him Tom, he said. And Bessie said it didn't matter because Little Black Bull would pick his own name when the time came. So the preacher sprinkled water on the boy's head, and Bessie laughed when it ran into his eyes and down his nose. The preacher said, "I christen this child Thomas Black Bull, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost." So Bessie and George were married, and the boy was baptized when he was 2 years old, almost 3. George got no pay at all at the desk the next week because he had gotten that $5 to pay Blue Elk for the marriage and baptism. They were in Pagosa all that winter. When the aspens came to leaf the next spring, Bessie said she wanted to go back to the reservation. George told the man at the sawmill he was going to quit. The man looked at the book and said George owed $42 at the company store, and he must pay that money before he could quit. George said he did not have that money. The man said it was less than 4 weeks' pay, and if George worked 4 more weeks and paid that money, he could quit. George told Bessie this, and she said they would stay 4 weeks. She could wait that long. But when George went to the pay desk the next week, the man gave him only $7 because they kept part of his wages for rent and the furniture. And the next week, the man gave him only $5 because the sawmill broke down and didn't run for 1 day that week. In 4 weeks, George saved $15. But that was not enough to pay the company store, so they could not go back to the reservation. It would take longer, George said, but he would save the money. He hid it in his lunch pail, but someone stole his lunch pail. Nobody saw the thief, but Frank No Deer, who was a mixed blood from the Jicarilla Apache Reservation in New Mexico, bought a new coat, new hat, and new boots that cost exactly $15. George accused Frank No Deer of stealing his money, and Frank laughed at him and said he had won that money in a dice game. Nobody knew of a dice game where Frank No Deer or anyone else had won $15, but George could not prove this thing, so he started again to save his money to pay the company store. It was August before he saved $15 again. He put the money in a bean can and buried it in the backyard, and did not even tell Bessie where he had buried it. One morning he found holes where someone had dug in the backyard in the night, and the money in the bean can was gone. He went to Frank No Deer and said he had stolen that money, and Frank No Deer laughed at him again. There was nothing George could do about it, but Frank No Deer had bought a suit of clothes and coat as well as the pants, and the man at the store said it cost exactly $15. George had a fight with Frank No Deer and tore the coat off his back, and Frank said, "You will buy me another coat." They did not go back to the reservation that summer, and that fall they did not go back either because they owed $50 at the company store. But all that winter George saved money again. This time he saved it in green paper money because the paper did not make a noise like silver. He kept the green paper money in his pocket where he could feel it with his hand and nobody could steal it from him. He saved $40 that way. And 2 days ago, he had told Bessie that in another 2 weeks, maybe 3, he would pay the company store and they would go back to the reservation. They would go back even if they were hungry next winter. Bessie said that would be a happy time. That money was in his pocket when he had gone to work yesterday. He was there when he quit work to eat his lunch. He went to get his lunch pail, and someone had taken it. He went out to where the other men were eating, and Frank No Dear had that lunch pail. George went to Frank No Dear and said, "You are a thief, but this time you did not steal my money because it was not in my lunch pail, and it was not in the bean can. It is here in my pocket." Frank No Dear said, "I took your lunch pail because you did not buy me a new coat for the one you tore." George said, "I did not buy you a new coat because you stole my money to buy that coat." And he took his lunch pail. Frank No Dear tried to take it back, and they had a fight. They fought and wrestled on the ground. The other men said George should give Frank No Dear a good beating, but George did not want to make bad trouble. He sat on Frank No Dear and pounded his head on the ground. Then he let him up, and Frank No Dear went away. He did not come back to work all afternoon. After Frank No Dear had gone, George felt his pocket, and his money was gone. Frank No Dear had taken it from his pocket while they wrestled on the ground. George had told this to Bessie that night. He said, "I'm going to kill Frank No Dear for this. 3 times he has stolen my money, and tomorrow I am going to kill him." Bessie remembered all these things. She looked at the boy and thought it would be good to go away from here. The boy should know the old ways. In her mind was one of the old songs that her mother had sung when Bessie was the age of the boy. It was a song about the roundness of things, of the grass stems and the aspens and the sun and the days and the years. Bessie sang it now, softly, and she added words of her own about the roundness of a little boy's eyes and arms and legs. The boy smiled as he heard it, this old song about the roundness of life. And Bessie sang about the roundness of a bird's nest and a basket, which was coiled and woven and complete, a part of the roundness of the whole. She thought of the peeled willow twigs and shook her head. There were willows and there were black-stemmed ferns on Horse Mountain. She would leave the willow twigs here as though she was coming back. The meat was cooked. She smelled it. They went inside. She said to the boy, "You will eat well. Then you will sleep before we go." They ate, and it was sunset. She put the boy to bed. He put his head against her and touched her cheek with his hands. Then she went to sleep, and she waited for the deep darkness, saying thanks that there would be no moon.